श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ओमज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तां सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So we are discussing the Dhruva Maharaj's story. Last week we discussed the benedictions offered by Lord Vishnu to Dhruva Maharaj. After the Supreme Lord offered benedictions to Dhruva Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj was not completely satisfied. This is very interesting because the Supreme Lord Vishnu, he offered best of both the worlds to Dhruva Maharaj. He said that in this world you will rule the earth for 36,000 years. And then you will actually become the king of the Dhruva Loka. Dhruva Loka is a place which is even higher than Satya Loka, Brahma's abode. And all the planets are circumambulating Dhruva Loka. And then after Dhruva Loka, the Dhruva Maharaj will also attain Vaikuntha. Dhruva Maharaj is the, Dhruva Loka is the embassy of Vaikuntha within the material world, within the material universe. So Dhruva Maharaj will be the emperor of this world for 36,000 years, and then he will attain Dhruvaloka, and then he will attain Vaikuntha. So can there is nothing lacking in this benediction offered by Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu also told that for 36,000 years you will rule the earth without the deterioration of any of your body and senses. You will be youthful for 36,000 years. So the best of the success in the material world and also the spiritual world, both were offered to Dhruva Maharaj. Sometimes if a person, okay, if he is lacking in some area, then there may be dissatisfaction. But even after that, the Bhagavatam verse says that Dhruva Maharaj was not completely satisfied. That is what we saw in the 27th shloka. Nati prito abhyagat puram. Na ati prito. Dhruva Maharaj was not very pleased. Based on this statement of Dhruva Maharaj, based on this statement, Vidura is asking a question to Maitreya Rishi, which also we saw last time. Sudurlabam yat paramam padam harer maya vinasta charanarchanarjitam labdvabhya siddhartam ivaika janmana katam swamatmanam amanyatartavit. The abode of the Lord is very difficult to obtain. It can be attained only by the pure devotional service, which alone pleases the most affectionate and merciful Lord. Dhruva Maharaj achieved this position, and that too in one life. Iha eka janmana. And he was a very wise person, Arthavit. Still, then why then was he not very pleased? This is the question of Vidura, and Maitreya Rishi begins to answer. We will begin with the shloka. Somebody can repeat. Maitreya Uvacha.
Maitreya Uvacha.
Matu sapatnya vagbanair.
Matu sapatnyan vagbanair.
Hridi viddastu tansmaran.
Vidhi viddastu tansmaran.
Naichan muktipader muktim.
Naichenna mukti pater muktim.
Tasmat tapamupeyivan.
Tasmat mapupeyivan. Maitreya answered, Dhruva Maharaj's heart, which was pierced by the arrows of the harsh words of his stepmother, was greatly aggrieved, and thus, when he fixed upon his goal of life, he did not forget her misbehavior. He did not demand actual liberation from this material world. But at the end of, Prabhuji, you'll have to scroll. You'll have to, yeah. But at the end of his devotional service, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared before him, he was simply ashamed of the material demands he had in his mind.
Okay, just 1 minute.
Does it mean that he is not fully mature as yet? Even though he was a realized soul, he still had this hiccup of some material dvesham left in him.
Yeah, the reason will become clear in the next shloka.
Achha.
Dhruva Maharaj's heart became completely purified. Matu sapatnya vagbanair. So his heart was pierced by the harsh words of his stepmother in the beginning. But After the performing devotional service, his heart became completely purified. He did not even have a trace of envy or a feeling of revenge towards his stepmother. He did not even have a trace of envy.
But he did not forget her misbehavior, it says.
No, no, no. He completely forgot. He gave up all the envy. We'll see that. It will be clear. So this is talking about his condition before. So in the beginning, in the beginning, Dhruva Maharaj's heart was pierced by the sharp words of his stepmother. And then remembering those sharp words of the stepmother, therefore he became very ambitious. Therefore, his whole mind was focused on getting a position which is greater than that of Lord Brahma. He did not seek liberation in the beginning of his bhakti. Naichan mukti pader muktim. He did not desire the liberation awarded by the Muktipati, the giver of liberation. Only Vishnu or Narayana, only Krishna can award liberation. No other Devata can award liberation, including Lord Shiva. So Dhruva Maharaj, initially, when he began bhakti, he did not desire liberation. He only had two things in his mind: to take revenge against his stepmother and to get a position greater than that of Lord Brahma. So he did not desire liberation awarded by the giver of liberation. Why? Because Hridi Viddastu Tansmaran. Because his heart was only remembering the harsh words of his stepmother. So when in the mind, when only the revenge feeling was there, then one cannot remember, one cannot desire something higher. One will be completely focused on the immediate needs. But when Dhruva Maharaj practiced bhakti, we discussed the prayers of Dhruva Maharaj. In the prayers of Dhruva Maharaj, he did not ask anything about that getting a position greater than that of Lord Brahma, or he did not say anything that you do something to my stepmother, that my stepmother should be killed, or Uttama or stepmother, they should get some harm. He did not speak anything like that. Rather, his prayers were filled with gratitude, filled with transcendental knowledge, and he only sought for the association of the devotees. He only sought devotional service. So, but Dhruva Maharaj, remembering his previous condition, Hridi Viddastu Tan Smaran, remembering his previous condition, he felt remorse. Tasma Tapam Upeyivan. So, first of all, Vishwanath Chakravarti quotes a shloka from Padma Purana. Muktim Bhaktimat Paryadatvam Vishnor Anucharatvam hi Mokshamahur Manishinaha. Manishinaha, the wise people say that liberation means what? Becoming an associate of the Lord and serving Vishnu. The real mukti, the topmost mukti, is that becoming an associate of Bhagavan and serving Vishnu. Bhagavatam gives a definition of mukti as Muktir hitva anyata rupam swarupena vyavasthitihi. Giving up all other designations related to the body and becoming situated in one swarupa, that is called as mukti. What is the swarupa of a living entity? The swarupa of a living entity is that Jivera swarupa hoi Krishnera nityadasa. To become an eternal servant of Bhagavan. That is the definition of mukti according to Padma Purana. Therefore, Vishwanath Chakravarti says here in this shloka, so Kaivalya Mukti is one of the type of liberation, but which is an inferior type of liberation. So in this shloka, the Mukti in this verse does not refer to Kaivalya Mukti. It refers to becoming an associate of the Lord and serving the Lord. So Dhruva Maharaj, in the 9th shloka. The 9th shloka means in the prayers of Dhruva Maharaj. 9th shloka of this chapter. Dhruva Maharaj very clearly mentioned his preference for serving the Lord over the Kaivalya Mukti. Ya nirvritis tanubrutam tavapada padma dhyanad bhavat janakata shravanena vasyat sa brahmanisva mahiman apinata mabud kim tvantakasi lulitat patatam vimanat. In this shloka, he clearly mentioned that the happiness of a person experiences in discussing Krishna Katha is not available, is much superior to the happiness in Kaivalya Mukti. So Dhruva Maharaj clearly mentioned that he prefers the Mukti of serving the Bhagavan than the Kaivalya Mukti. So therefore, in this statement, he did not desire this liberation. Therefore, but in the shloka it is mentioned that Naichan Mukti Pader Muktim. Naichan Muktim. Na Ichan Mukti means he did not desire liberation. Then how do we explain this statement? Because it is clearly mentioned from his prayers, Dhruva Maharaj desired being an associate of the Lord. He desired to engage in Krishna Katha. He desired being an associate of the Lord. For example, in verse number 11, 4.9.11, Bhaktim muhu pravahatam tvayime prasango bhuyad ananta mahatam amalashayanam yenanja solbanam uru vyasanam bhavabdim neshye bhavat gunakatamrita panamattah. Dhruva Maharaj in this prayer, he clearly mentioned that kindly bless me so that I may associate with the great devotees who engage in your transcendental loving service constantly. As the waves of a river constantly flow. So, Dhruva Maharaj clearly desired being an associate of the Lord. And that is clear from verse number 11. He did not desire Kaivalya Mukti. That is clear from verse number 9. So then, in this shloka, Smaran, Hridi Viddastu Tan Smaran. The Smaran is basically, if you see from a grammatical point of view, because this will detail the Sanskrit Vyakarana. This is particularly based on a particular pratyaya called as Shatru pratyaya. Shatru not means enemy. Here, Shatru is a particular pratyaya, suffix in Sanskrit Vyakarana. So when you attach a Shatru pratyaya to a dhatu, and then when you make forms out of the dhatu, those forms are used in the present tense. Those forms are used in the present tense. So, Hridi Viddastu Tan Smaran. Smaran means the word Smaran, remembering, is in the present tense. This indicates that he did not desire the Lord's association while remembering his impure state of experiencing the pain of the arrows of his stepmother's words. So that means when he initially went to the forest, so at that time his whole mind was occupied by those harsh words of the stepmother. So at that time he did not desire the Lord's association. At that time he did not desire being an associate of the Supreme Lord. At that time. So he went to Madhuvan and performed austerities with a determination to worship the Lord, with the desire to obtain a place greater than that of his father or the forefathers. But then, when Dhruva Maharaj directly got the darshan of the Lord, Vishwanath Chakravarti says that, what is the question of remembering the harsh words of his stepmother? Because all his senses had all become spiritualized. Yonta pravishya mamavacham imam prasuptam sanjeevayat akila shakti daraswadamna anyam cha hastacharana shravanatvagadin pranan namo bhagavate purushaya tubhyam. That is how Dhruva Maharaj began his prayer. His senses had become completely spiritualized. Therefore, there is absolutely no question of envy. But then, what did the Lord say? In the 19th shloka of this chapter, the Lord actually told that he would fulfill the initial material desire of Dhruva Maharaj. You would become the emperor of this earth for 36,000 years and then you will attain Dhruva Loka. That is what the Lord told. So on hearing that particular word, the 19th shloka, where the Lord assured you will become the emperor of this world and you will become the king of the Dhruva Loka. On hearing that, Dhruva Maharaj became ashamed and repented. So Dhruva Maharaj was feeling that my Lord knows my crime of possessing material desires. Since he remembers my previous state of mind, although Dhruva Maharaj completely became purified, but Dhruva Maharaj felt that the Supreme Lord, remembering my previous state of mind, he chose to fulfill those material desires. So Dhruva Maharaj was feeling ashamed. So Dhruva Maharaj was feeling that, why did I make such a vow? Why did I desire those material desires in the beginning? When I said that I desired the association of the devotees, Bhaktim Muhu Pravakatam Tvaime Prasango, probably that Lord thought that I am simply deceiving him. Maybe the Lord did not take my prayer seriously. Maybe Lord thought that I am simply acting, I am simply deceiving him. So therefore, the Lord did not clearly promise to fulfill that desire. Bhaktim Muhu Pravakatam Tvaime Prasango. But instead, the Lord promised to fulfill my previous desire. So in talking about the future of my brother, he again reminded me about my previous envious nature. Previously, he had a feeling of revenge towards his brother and the stepmother. But the Lord had told, we saw in the, I think, last class, that your brother, when he goes to the forest, he will die in the forest and your stepmother also will die. So Dhruva Maharaj is feeling that the Lord did not clearly promise what I desired. I desired the association of the devotees. I desired to become the associate of the Lord and the devotees. Lord did not clearly promise that. Rather, he chose to fulfill my previous desire, my ambition, and he chose to address my previous envious nature. So therefore, Dhruva Maharaj felt that repentant, that why did I have those material desires in the beginning? The Lord chose to fulfill those previous desires. Therefore, in the next 6 verses, very profound shlokas. In the next 6 verses, we'll see Dhruva Maharaj exhibits his shame, repentance, humility, and disgust towards the previous material desires. This is Vishwanath Chakravarti's purport. Let us go through Srila Prabhupada's purport. Prabhupada has given a long purport in the shloka. So this important verse has been discussed by many commentators. So why Dhruva Maharaj was not very pleased even after achieving the goal of life he desired? But the Lord definitely assured that you will also go to Vaikuntha. But still he was not very pleased because a pure devotee is Anya Abhilashita Shunyam. He is free from all kinds of material desires. So in the material world, One's material desires are all most demoniac. One thinks of others as the enemies. Krishna in the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna speaks about the demoniac nature, he says that idam adya maya labdam imam prapsye manoraptam idam asti idam api me bhavishyati punardanam asau maya hatashatrur hanishye chaparanapi yakshe dasyami modishya. He says that a demonic person says that this person is my enemy, this person is my friend. I have conquered this particular enemy. I will conquer this enemy also. I have accumulated this much. I will accumulate even more also. So, a demoniac person thinks like that. One thinks of revenge against one's enemies because the attitude of tit for tat, that is a material consciousness. So one aspires to become the topmost leader or topmost person in the material world. And thus one competes with all others. Prabhupada is saying this has been described in the Bhagavad Gita 16th chapter as Asurik. Same verses, 16th chapter, I think 16, 17, 18, somewhere there. A pure devotee, on the other hand, he has no demand from the Lord. His only concern is to serve the Lord sincerely and seriously. And he is not at all concerned about what will happen in the future. King Kulashekar Maharaj, he says that I don't want any position of sense gratification within this material world. It's a beautiful shloka. 1 minute.
अभी नाहं वंदे तव चरणयोर कुंभी पाकं गुरुम हरे.
Yeah, what is the beginning of the shloka?
नाहं वंदे तव चरणयोर कुंभी द्वंद्व अद्वंद्वम द्वंद्वम हेतु कुंभी पाकं हरे. Like this.
Yeah. नाहं वंदे तव चरणयोर द्वंद्वमद्वंद्व हेतो कुंभीपाकं गुरुम अपि हरे नारकं नापनेतुम रम्या रामा मृदुतनुलता नंदने नाभिरंतुम भावे भावे हृदय भवने भावयेयं भवन्तं. So Mukundamala Stotra is a very, very sweet book. Prabhupada chose to, the Acharyas, they made commentaries on selected works of books from other Sampradaya. One such selected book is Mukundamala Stotra of King Kulashekar Acharya, Alvar. So King Kulashekar says that, my dear Lord, I do not worship you to be liberated from this material entanglement. Nor do I wish to save myself from the hellish condition of material existence. Nor do I pray for a beautiful wife to enjoy in a nice garden. I wish that I may always be in full ecstasy with the pleasure of serving your Lordship. The same shloka is quoted, and then Prabhupada quotes the Shikshashtakam prayer. Nadanam najanam na sundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaye mama janmani janmanishware bhavatat bhakti rahetu kitvai. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also did not pray even for mukti or liberation. So in this verse, Maitreya replied to Vidura that Dhruva, influenced by a revengeful attitude towards his insulting stepmother, did not think of mukti. Nor did he know what mukti was. In the beginning, he didn't even have an idea of mukti. Therefore, he failed to aim for mukti as the goal in life in the beginning. But a pure devotee does not want liberation. He is a soul completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord. And he does not demand anything from the Lord. This position was realized by Dhruva Maharaj when he saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead personally. Before him, because he was elevated to the Vasudeva platform. So you see, Dhruva Maharaj, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that 4 kinds of people approach me. Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukrutinurjuna arto jigyashur artharti jnani cha bharatarshava. Dhruva Maharaj is an example of a person who approached Krishna with a material desire. Gajendra is an example of a person who approached Krishna with a desire to get out of the distress, artha. Initially, Dhruva and Gajendra had this short-term motivation. But when they performed a devotional service, both of them were completely purified of that motivation. Dhruva Maharaj prayed only for pure devotional service. Gajendra also, in his prayer, if we see, Gajendra, he says that, Jiji Vishe Naham Iha Muyakim Antar Bahischa Vritayeba Yonya Ichami Kalena Yasya Viplavas Tasyatma Loka Varanasya Moksham. 8th canto, 3rd chapter, I think 25th shloka or somewhere near there. Gajendra also, although he initially started with the prayer of he wanted to come out of the clutches of crocodile, but ultimately what he prayed is that, please remove the ignorance within my heart. Because of the ignorance, I am bound in material consciousness, I am bound in the material body. So Gajendra ultimately, he did not pray simply to get out of the clutches of the crocodile. He wanted to come out of the platform of ignorance. So therefore, this position was realized by Dhruva Maharaj when he saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead personally before him, present personally before him, because he was elevated to the Vasudeva platform. Vasudeva platform means Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam. Vasudeva platform is the Shuddha Sattva platform. In the Shuddha Sattva platform, the living entity's desire becomes one with the desire of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He does not become one with the Bhagavan, rather there is a oneness of the interest. The Supreme Lord wants to experience loving exchanges with the living entities. And the living entity develops the same interest to perform loving service to the Supreme Lord. That is the Vasudeva platform. So the Vasudeva platform refers to the stage at which material contamination is conspicuous by absence. Or in other words, there is no question of the 3 modes of nature. And therefore, one can see the Supreme Lord in that Vasudeva platform. Because a person can see the Supreme Lord on the platform of Vasudeva, therefore the Supreme Lord is called as Vasudeva. One meaning of Vasudeva is that one who is the son of Vasudeva. But another meaning of the word Vasudeva is that personality who can be seen only in the stage of Vasudeva platform, the stage of Shuddha Sattva. So Dhruva Maharaj's demand was for a position so exalted that it was never enjoyed even by Brahma. But Krishna is so affectionate and kind towards his devotee, especially to a devotee like Dhruva, who went to render devotional service in the forest alone at the age of only 5 years. This is the most important sentence. That although the motive of Dhruva might be impure, the Lord does not consider the motive. He is concerned with the service. The Lord does not consider the motive. He is concerned with the service. So we have seen many statements. Krishna is Bhavagrahi Janardana. Krishna mainly sees the intention of the person. Krishna sees the intention of the person. When Duryodhan offered Chappan Bhog to Krishna, but Krishna did not accept the service of Duryodhan because its intention was impure. He had an intention to harm the Pandavas, to cheat the Pandavas. Vidura offered simple hospitality. Because his intention was pure, Krishna accepted that hospitality. So, sometimes people, a side point, sometimes our Hindus or even Vaishnavas, they are not properly thoughtful actually. So, sometime back there was a news in Vrindavan, Banke, Bihar, a temple. People who make dresses for the deities, many of them were Muslim workers. So there was an issue that some Hindu organizations were telling that why are you accepting the dress made with these Muslim workers? That better you employ other Hindu workers for the dress directly for the deities. But the temple management refused actually. They refused and they were saying we will accept service from anybody like that. But then they forgot this example of Krishna. Krishna did not accept the hospitality of Duryodhana, who had envious nature. So people, the Muslim community, they spit at the food. They may be spitting at the clothes. How can then the clothes become impure? How like it becomes unfavorable to the Supreme Lord? So people, sometimes the Vaishnavas also forget these examples of Krishna. So Krishna sees that this Krishna is Bhavagrahi Janardana. But in this purport, Prabhupada says that although Dhruva Maharaj's motive in the beginning was impure, the Lord does not consider the motive, he is concerned with the service. He is concerned with the service. Just like in the case of Putana. Putana came with a desire to kill Krishna. But Krishna saw that, oh, this person, although she came to kill me, but still she has dressed herself like a mother. Therefore, Krishna offered her the position of a nurse in the spiritual world. So, if a devotee has a particular motive, the Lord directly or indirectly knows it, and therefore he does not leave the devotee's material desires unfulfilled. These are some of the special favors by the Lord to a devotee. So, one thing you have to understand, in the Dhruva Maharaj's prayer, he did not mention anything about the material desire. But the Lord, when he spoke, he chose to fulfill his previous material desires, and he also told that you will also attain prema, you will also attain Vaikuntha. So why did he choose to fulfill his previous material desires, which were not expressed by Dhruva when the Dhruva met the Lord directly? The reason is that Radha Govind Maharaj says that, and also Acharyas, because the Lord felt that the Lord wanted to also show to the world through Dhruva that I have the capacity, I have the samarthya to fulfill the material desires of the jiva also. Suppose if the Lord had not chosen to fulfill the previous material desires of Dhruva, then people would think, common people, everyone has material desires. Common people would think that, oh, if you go to Vishnu, if you worship Vishnu with a material desire, then Vishnu will not fulfill your material desire. Vishnu will do some magic that ultimately you become free from material desire, and then your material desire will not be fulfilled. So better don't approach Vishnu only, better approach other devatas only. Like that people will think. So therefore, the Lord also wanted to show, it's not that Lord is not Lord knows that Dhruva Maharaj has become a pure devotee. He does not desire, now he does not, no longer has those material desires. Lord clearly knows that. Lord has complete trust in Dhruva. But still he chose to fulfill his previous material desires because through Dhruva, he also wanted to show to the world that I can fulfill the material desires. So by that, because by that, it is an attraction, it is an advertisement for everyone to worship Vishnu. Even if you desire something material, Vishnu has the capacity to fulfill that. You can worship Vishnu. Akama sarva kama va moksha kama udarade. Otherwise, if the Lord had not fulfilled, then people would think that, oh, never worship Vishnu, because if you go to Vishnu, what happened to Dhruva only will happen. Lord will do some Maya Jala and then he will become free from the material desires. आपको ambition मिलेगा ही नहीं. So these are some of the special favors by the Lord to a devotee. So Dhruva Maharaj was offered Dhruva Loka, a planet that was never resided upon by any conditioned soul. Even Brahma was not allowed to enter Dhruva Loka. So whenever there is a crisis within the universe, the demigods go to see the Supreme Lord in Shirodakshai Vishnu, and they stand on the beach of the Milk Ocean in the Dhruva Loka. So the fulfillment of Dhruva Maharaj's demand, a position more exalted than that of even Brahma, was offered to him. Therefore, in this verse, the Lord is described as Mukti Pati, one under whose lotus feet there are all kinds of mukti. So there are 5 kinds of mukti. Sayujya mukti, it is same as Kaivalya mukti. And then there are 4, Sarupya, Salokya, Samipya and Sarshti. So out of these 5, which can be achieved by any person engaged in devotional service to the Lord, the one which is known as Sayujya or Kaivalya mukti is generally demanded by the Mayavadi philosophers. They demand to become one with the impersonal Brahman effulgence. In the opinion of many scholars, Sayujya Mukti, although counted among the 5 kinds of Mukti, is not actually Mukti, because one can again fall down to this material world. Aruhya krichrena param padam tata patantyado anadrita yushmadangrayah. The Bhagavatam says that Yenye Aravindaksha Vimukta Maninas Tvayasta Bhavat Avishuddha Buddhayah Aruhya Krichrena Param Padam Tata Patantyado Anadrita Yushmadangre. So this verse says that if a person thinks himself to be liberated, Vimukta Manina, and if he is averse to the lotus feet of the Lord, then from his imagined state of liberation, he will fall down. So, therefore, although the monist philosophers is elevated to the status of being one with the effulgence of the Lord, because there is no facility of associating with the Lord and rendering service unto him, so therefore he will not get the ultimate satisfaction. So sometimes we see that people, those who seek impersonal liberation, because there is not superior rasa, sometimes they fall down, they come down to the platform of humanitarian work or social work. So Vaishnava philosophers do not accept Sayujya Mukti to be within the category of Mukti. So Lord Chaitanya also says that in this connection that the constitutional position of living entity is to render service to the Lord. That is real Mukti. These are some points. And then so one who is engaged in the service of the Lord, he is already in the liberated platform. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na shochati na kankshati samasarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labate para. So Padma Purana also confirms that Mukti means engagement in the service of the Lord. So these points already we covered in Vishwanath Chakothaka's purport. Even if one gets the position of Brahma, the most exalted position, is still a conditioned soul. So Prabodhanand Saraswati says that even if one is elevated to the position of Brahma, but that position of Brahma is like an insignificant insect. The reason is that an insignificant insect has a desire for sense gratification, and even a personality like Brahma also want to dominate this material nature. So from that point of view, the same quality of lording it over matter that is present in an insect as well as Brahma. So in the material world, the competition between the living entities is based on how to dominate the material nature. Scientists, they want to dominate the material nature. And that is considered as the advancement of human civilization. So the more one can dominate, more one can control, they consider the more advanced they are. But Dhruva Maharaj's propensity, a devotee does not want to dominate the material nature. Rather, a devotee wants to be dominated by the supreme predominator. So Dhruva Maharaj's propensity in the beginning was that he wanted to dominate this entire material world in a greater position than Brahma. So therefore, elsewhere it is described that after the appearance of the Lord, when Dhruva Maharaj thought and compared his determination to his final reward, he realized that he had wanted a few particles of broken glass. We discussed this shloka, I think, two weeks back. Swamin kritartosmi varam na yache. Dhruva Maharaj felt that I have got a rare diamond in the form of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, he considered his previous desire to be like the broken pieces of glass. So as soon as he saw the Supreme Lord face to face, he immediately became conscious of the unimportance of his demand from the Lord to have an exalted position better than that of Brahma. So Dhruva Maharaj became situated in Vasudeva platform, therefore all his material contamination was cleared. So thus he became ashamed of what his demands were and what he had achieved. So he was very much ashamed to think that although he had gone to Madhuvan, giving up the kingdom of his father and having gotten a spiritual master like Narada, but still he was thinking of revenge against his stepmother and wanted to occupy an exalted post within the material world. So these were the causes for his moroseness, even after he received all the desired benedictions from the Lord. So Dhruva Maharaj, when he saw the Supreme Lord, there was no question of revengeful attitude. So when the Supreme Lord spoke to Dhruva, Lord told that Vedaham. Vedaham means I am aware of what is in your mind. So the Lord was present in his heart, so he knew everything. So the Lord always knows everything a man is thinking. Vedaham samatitani vartamanani charjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani mamtu vedana karchana. So somebody can read this paragraph. The Lord fulfilled
all Dhruva Maharaj's desires. His revengeful attitude towards his stepmother and stepbrother was satisfied. His desire for a more exalted position than that of his great grandfather was also fulfilled. And at the same time, his eternal position in Dhruvaloka was fixed. Although Dhruva Maharaj's achievement of an eternal planet was not conceived of by him, Krishna thought, what will Dhruva do with an exalted position within this material world? Therefore, he gave Dhruva the opportunity to rule this material world for 36,000 years with unchangeable senses and the chance to perform many great sacrifices and thus become the most reputed king within this material world. And after finishing with all this material enjoyment, Dhruva would be promoted to the spiritual world, which includes the Dhruva Loka.
So this is the long purport to the shloka. Now the next 6 shlokas, 30 to 35, Dhruva Maharaj's profound, Dhruva Maharaj is introspecting. So he's introspecting that he's repenting for the previous material desires. So we'll read these verses. Dhruva Uvacha
ध्रुव उवाच
Samadhina Naika Bhavena Yatpadam
समाधिनानैकभवेन यत्पदम्
Vidussanandadaya Urdhvaretasah
विदुषनन्दादय ऊर्ध्वऋते सह
Masairaham Shadbiramushya Padayosh
मासैरहं सद्भिरमुष्य पादयोस्
Chaya Mupethyapagata Prutangmatihi
छायामुपगतप्रतन्मैतिह. Translation. Dhruva Maharaj thought to himself, to endeavor to be situated in the shade of lotus feet of the Lord is not an ordinary task, because even the great brahmacharis, headed by Sanandana, who practiced Ashtanga Yoga in trance, attained the shelter of the Lord's lotus feet only after many, many births. Within 6 months I achieved the same result, yet due to my thinking differently from the Lord, I fell down from my position.
So we see Dhruva Maharaj is thinking Samadhina Naika Bhavena Yatpadam Vidussanandadya Urdhvaretasah Masairaham Shadbiramushya Padayo. Shadbir Masai, having attained in 6 months Padayoho Chayam, the shade of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Sanandadya Urdhvaretasah, which is Sanaka and others, the strict brahmacharis, they do not attain by concentration even in one lifetime. Samadhina Naika Bhavena Yatpadam. What the 4 Kumaras who are strict brahmacharis, who cannot attain the lotus feet of the Lord even in one lifetime, I achieved that in 6 months. But Upetya Apagata Prutangmatihi, I fell from that position because of Prutangmatihi. This is the most important word. Prutangmatihi, because of having other desires. So we see Dhruva Maharaj became completely purified, but a sign of a sincere devotee, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj mentioned. A sincere devotee, suppose if he is practicing bhakti since 30 years, 40 years, but still he will feel repentant for the way he led his life 30, 40 years back in forgetfulness of Krishna. He will feel repentant for the material desires he had before taking to bhakti. Or even if a person is practicing bhakti right from the birth, a sincere devotee will feel repentant for the previous lifetime which he led in forgetfulness of Krishna. So in the 6th canto, 2nd chapter also, after Ajamila heard the conversation between Vishnudutas and Yamadutas, Ajamil also starts repenting. In that purport, Prabhupada says that the sign of a pure devotee is that he repents for the previous sinful activities. That is the standard of pure devotion. So Naika Bhavena means not in one lifetime. remembering that he was situated in the shade of the Lord, Padayo Chayam, who was seated on Garuda. Dhruva is speaking. Having achieved the shade of the lotus feet of the Lord, I fell down because my mind was thinking of things other than the Lord, Pritang Matihi. Therefore, the Lord did not take me to his abode along with him. Because Dhruva Maharaj is feeling that the Lord also chose to fulfill my previous material desires. So why did I desire that? So Prabhupada says that Dhruva is explaining the cause of his remembrance. First, he laments that to see the Supreme Lord directly is not so easy. Even great persons like the four Kumaras, they practice the yoga system for many, many births and remained in trance before getting the opportunity to see the Supreme Lord face to face. As far as Dhruva was concerned, he saw the Supreme Lord personally after only 6 months of practice in devotional service. Therefore, Dhruva was expecting that the Lord will take me to Vaikunta immediately. I can engage in his service continuously along with his associates. Dhruva was expecting that. But Dhruva could understand very clearly that the Lord had offered him to rule the world for 36,000 years. Because initially he was under the spell of the material energy and wanted to take revenge against his stepmother. So Dhruva Maharaj greatly lamented his propensity for ruling the material world and his revengeful attitude towards other living entities. Therefore, like I think we discussed it previously also, I don't know which class, but there is introspection, retrospection, circumspection, 3 things. What is introspection? Introspection means when we practice bhakti to introspect that am I getting purified or not? Are my anarthas going away? Introspect. To introspect towards what is my motivation in doing this? To introspect that. Retrospection means to remember what we were before and then to see what we are now. How definitely bhakti has worked. What I was before, I was very maybe agitated, had many bad habits, but now what I am, like that, to retrospect. And then circumspection. Circumspection means if I do this activity, what impact it will create on the society around me. What impact it will create about the few, what will be the consequences of this activity. That's circumspection. So Dhruva Maharaj is, you can say he's trying to introspect his previous state of mind, retrospection, that also we can see. The last shloka, maybe this will take next week. Today we could cover only 2 shlokas because it was a long purport. Next week we'll go through the 5 shlokas of Dhruva Maharaj's repentance. So anybody has any comments or question?
धन्यवादाः नमस्काराः
Namaskaram.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it is said that Susukham Kartum Avyayam. So, Bhakti is Susukham. So, regarding the I'm asking this question in context with now in the last part, it was discussed that introspection, retrospection, and circumspection. So, from many years, if one is chanting, following the regulative principles and all that, but then also one doesn't get taste for bhakti. So how it has to be understood that am I not following the process properly, or it takes time for anarth nivritti and come to the nishta stage? So how to understand that?
See, we may not taste the way it is described in the scriptures, but still, the fact that you are continuing to hear Bhagavatam, continuing to chant, you do have some taste. It's not possible to so long you are attracted to Bhagavatam, reading, hearing. So that means that definitely progress is being made. And sometimes Krishna gives a taste. Vishwanath Chakravarti also says that at the appropriate time, although you may be watering the plant, but at the appropriate time only the fruit comes.
Yes,
So Krishna will give that at the appropriate time. So Utsaha Nichaya Dhairya, that's how we have to go on. Another way is that one class Radhanath Swami Maharaj mentioned, Krishna may give the taste right before, just before the death. We may say, oh, we are just struggling with the anarthas. But Krishna, just before the death, he can just fast forward from anartha nivriti to prema in 1 second. And he can immediately give you prema, right, just before the death. He wants to see our utsaha, nichaya, dhairyat. And then he has a fast forward button and he can immediately give. So therefore, we have to be patient. Utsaha, nichaya, dhairyat. And of course, it's also, Bhagavatam also says that Tadashmasaram Hridayam Batedam Yadgruhyamaneir Harinamadeyai Na Vikriyetata Yada Vikaro Netre Jalam Gatra Ruheshu Harshaha. When a person is chanting the holy names, if one's heart does not melt in ecstasy, his heart is considered to be steel framed. So then the only reason that for that is that because of the offenses. So therefore one has to be careful of the offenses, like that Prabhupada says. So we have to be cautious about the offenses, and then we have to be patient. Utsaha Nichaya Dhairya.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. So we'll end here. Next week we'll continue.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. Thank you very much.